busy engineer fixes gadgets and switches and rheostats and whatever it is he's fussing around with over that control board.
Well, and thank goodness he does, because we couldn't.
I think he brought us on live on Viewpoint. Good morning, Mrs. Busby.
Good morning to you, Mr. G.
How are you this morning, my dear? Everything
Swell.
under control?
Swell.
No.
Swell. It's nice and warm out. We'll not be taking a chill. I left my parka at home.
My English teacher would just rap you on your knuckles. You used the word that she didn't like.
Oh, what was it?
Swell.
Swell? She didn't like that? I like that word. I use it a lot.
It's pretty commonly used. Yeah. Well, kudos. I suppose, Judith K., that would probably be very appropriate this morning to extend a broad kudo to all those who worked so hard to make our Balloon Festival Art Fair such a big success last weekend. There were a lot of folks behind the scenes there, did a lot of work, so this is kind of a blanket kudo to them. I would also, at the same time, kind of bring out a singular one. You know me, I like to visit with the people, and so as I went around to the various exhibitors and those who were competitors on the
the barbecue?
Barbecue, right. I made it a point to stop and visit with them and ask how they liked coming to Lincoln and were they treated well and so forth. And I got very enthusiastic responses. And Chris Krau's name came up because he was kind of the major domo behind the promotion of the barbecue thing.
Right.
So I take my symbolic hat off to Chris once again. Neat thing. But a lot of people did a lot of work behind the scenes there.
Oh my. And volunteers. Since that's one of my passions, there were so many. Andy Haight kept needing just one more group for this, and on like the last day I talked to her, and she said, well, they thought they had it all filled, people for every slot. And then there was this other category that needed 30.
Oh, 30?
Uh-huh. Yeah. But people came to the fore. You know, you got to give them credit. I'll tell you, when the word goes out, people rise to the occasion, don't they?
Well, the logistics of planning for the thing, for instance, you've got to have X number of people for this committee and X number of people for that. So just writing it down and getting down on black and white, or in whatever they use. But really, seriously, there's a lot of logistics to go into that well in advance.
Oh, gosh.
Well,
I'm sure they're working on next year.
Oh, well, that's how things get successful, you know. You can't just start 6 months ahead for a thing like that.
Not so much.
Nice to have Jim and Nancy Ireland as the marshals. A great couple, and certainly a well-deserved honor for them.
Most definitely.
And all in all, I thought the thing went well.
I thought it went beautifully. The part I saw just was smashing, and I was so excited Friday night. Here came a balloon, and here came another, and another, and another. It was just absolutely magnificent. I thought we were in Albuquerque.
Yes, I happened to drive through Albuquerque one time when that was not knowing about it, and I saw all these balloons going up, and I was, boy, that's really, of course, that was 2 years ago. But it's, you know, that's the major festival today, I guess, still.
Yes.
But I thought bringing in the number of balloons that we did here, and happily, Chris Miller and his weather department cooperated with us.
Yeah.
So it gave us a really decent weekend for flying, and that was a big deal. So anyway, a lot of people did a lot of work, and so our our hats go off to them, particularly the organizers, maybe just as much the volunteers who stepped in. I think it's probably time that you might introduce our guest this morning. We have a really important subject matter here.
Yes, we certainly have. And Sandy Johnson from Lincoln has long suffered from a loss of eyesight. It's been a gradual thing for you, hasn't it, Sandy?
Correct, yeah. And, it all started, I would say, maybe about 10 years ago. I retired from Logan Correctional Center in 1999, and it was shortly thereafter that I visited the optometrist, which I always did every year, and he said, you know, I see a problem here. I would like to refer you to a gentleman in Springfield, which he did, and I don't know if I'm allowed to mention his name or not. His name is Dr. Lanny Oden. Odin.
Like the god of war.
And he's a very, very wonderful man, very compassionate. I go down there. Well, it depends on what he finds each time. I have a leakage behind the retina of my eye. And sometimes he'll have me come down every 3 months, sometimes every 6 months. It just depends on what he finds. And he does various tests. One of the things that I have done probably about once a year, which I really dread, and I don't know why, it doesn't hurt, but they put a needle in my vein with dye in it. And then they do these tests, and I go into another room, and another gentleman does these tests, and there's all these bright flashes of light. And after you have this done, then I go back to the examining room with Dr. Odin, and he has the pictures that were taken of my eye, and this shows him what has been going on since the last time I was there. Well, if it's bad enough, then we have to do laser surgery, which they do right in the chair. A lot of times they don't do the laser surgery that day because he's on a very tight schedule, and he hasn't allowed an extra 20 minutes to do laser surgery on me. So he may say, well, looks like you need laser surgery. We'll do it in 2 weeks or whatever. Now, laser surgery is not bad like you might think it would be. You just have to hold your head very still. They put you in this machine, just like when you have your eyes examined. You put your chin up in this little thing. The only thing is they strap your head because they don't want you to move, not one little tiny inch. And then the lady that works with him, I don't know if she's a nurse or what her title is, but she wears a white lab coat and so forth. And she gets there and she holds your head on either side. So between the straps and her holding your head, he's going to make very sure that you don't move, you know. And then I call it zaps you with this laser, and they do it. It depends on how much leakage there is there, you know. Sometimes he only does one eye. Sometimes it might be both eyes, just depending on what that test showed.
Well, thankfully, if there is any thankfully, I guess, in the business of your eyesight failing, it's today instead of a generation ago, because they have so many things that they can do for you, and things that are available through the state. Not only classes to help you learn more about how to deal with it, but also technology.
Right, that is correct.
I'd like to talk a minute about our Logan County. What is the correct name for your low vision group?
We're called...
Jean's a member of that. I can't tell you the exact name of it.
Well, we are called the Lincoln Low Vision Support Group.
I see. Okay.
Now, we meet once a month. However, we take the summers off because so many people are vacationing and working in their garden and busy, you know. So we have been off during the summer months, and we're getting ready to have our September meeting on September the 9th. We meet for approximately 1 hour. We meet from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., and these meetings are held at the Christian Church here in Lincoln. They are kind enough to let us use one of their Sunday school rooms for a meeting of our group. Now, I'm not sure how long this group has been going. Your wife is a member, and she's been in much longer than I have, I'm sure. I've been a member for approximately 3 years. And I think it's a group that is not known. A lot of people don't know about it. And the way that I found out about it was from another gentleman in the group, and his wife said to me, well, you know, Dave goes to this group at the Christian Church, and she said it's sponsored, At that time, Mr. Dave Jackson was in charge of the group. And Dave was working for the state of Illinois. That would be like the Division of Rehab, and he was in the Division of Blind Services. So Dave came up to Lincoln once a month to have this support group. Now, not only did he come for our support group, but he came to service people that had vision problems.
Yes, he made house calls.
House calls, exactly, yes. And I'm not sure how he found out about these people to start with, but I think a lot of it was word of mouth. For instance, my friend Dave told me about the group. I went to the group. Once I got to the group, he said, well, I would be more than happy to help you and come out to your house. And I had to give him a little information. And then he came out within, 3 or 4 weeks. I had to be examined by a low vision optometrist in Springfield. And depending on what that man found, that told Mr. Jackson what my levels of sight were, what products might be useful to me, and so forth. But since then, Mr. Jackson has retired. He still comes to our meetings, though. He has a connection to Lincoln because he has a daughter that lives in Lincoln.
Yeah.
So he still wants to be a part of our group and see that the local folks, he can't come to our homes anymore and tell us about the products and so forth. And we do have a little problem there because, the state of Illinois has no money.
No kidding.
That's a rumor I heard.
And they have not, to the best of my knowledge, they have not replaced Mr. Jackson yet.
No.
Well,
That
we
budgetary
really
problem.
need to have him replaced, and I don't know if this will ever happen. I think that it would be very wise if people like myself would contact their state representative and say, hey, this gentleman needs to be replaced somehow, because there are a lot of people that need this service that are no longer getting it.
Yes,
Now,
and-
there is a lady that is in Mattoon that has the same title or position, and she is trying to cover Lincoln and Logan County, but my goodness, this poor lady has got, from Mattoon clear to Lincoln to I don't know where.
She was at our house yesterday talking with Jean about her problems and so
And-
forth. So
and
she
it's-
has a big,
She
real
does have a big
territory.
caseload. I guess you'd call it a caseload.
And before this, Andy, we had Jim Holford, who had local connections. His mother was a local lady, and Jim and his dog and his driver have been up here at the studio. And the dog came in here in the studio with Jim and lay down, and that's the last you hear of the dog until the program was over. We missed Jim a lot. He's over in Decatur, lives over there, and he was kind enough to come over a couple times, tell us about that. And as you know, we've also had the gentleman who will be appearing with your vision group, local ties again, John Cornell. Had a very nice visit with him here in the studio. Very, very bright lawyer and very articulate spokesman for the visually impaired.
Right.
And so we might want to talk about John's appearance here coming up here on the September 7th meeting?
Ninth.
September the 9th,
Thank
on
you.
Monday, September
How
the
quickly we
9th.
forget.
That's a week following Labor Day. And our group normally meets the second Monday of the month. Now, sometimes we don't because of holidays or, something like that. But, yes, John is going to be with us that day. He is an attorney, as you said, from DeKalb, Illinois. He graduated from Valparaiso University School of Law in 1984. He's in private practice. I'm really looking forward to visiting with him and have him speak to our group, because he can tell us what it's like to lose your he had his eyesight apparently when he was young.
Oh, yes.
But it has progressed and gotten worse and worse.
You'll find John to be very articulate and a very fine individual with whom to visit. He's going to bring you a lot of information. He had a lot of personal experiences, of course. Those of us who have not been beset with a physical problem such as a loss of your sight we may think that we understand, but we can't really comprehend that at all. For instance, in our personal case, it's just a matter of Jean gets around okay. She can't drive, of course, because she's been grounded. But there are so many things available for somebody in her case, and perhaps in yours too, visual aids that are available. And,
right.
And you find out more about them through your group with
yes.
which you speak about.
Right.
And there are so many things that, well, for instance, the big reading machine that she has, and many others here in Lincoln, or at
the
least several others have those, and those are a godsend.
Yes, they are. They're wonderful.
And those things that people don't know about but need to know about, who have maybe they've just a recent sight impairment, and they're a little bit maybe a wash as to or a swim as to, gosh, what do I do now?
Yeah.
There are a lot of, so we need to emphasize an extended invitation to those folks who know about this group.
Right, and if they would spread the word. I put out flyers, try to get them around, like at the Lincoln Library, to the various churches, asking the churches to maybe put this on their bulletin board or put it in their monthly bulletin. I would like to emphasize that this group is free of charge. We're only there for 1 hour, and we have usually about 15 people. We have one gentleman from Mason City that comes over. The majority of our people are Lincoln people, although we would welcome people no matter where they're from. Mm-hmm. We just call it the Lincoln Low Vision because I'm sure Mr. Jackson must have started these same groups like in Springfield and Decatur and so forth. Mm-hmm. But you do not have to live in Lincoln or Logan County to come and be a part of our group.
If there's anyone that's been recently diagnosed with a vision problem, would they be welcome to just show up at 1 o'clock at the Christian church to hear John Cornell? He's very, very encouraging. I thought he was just wonderful. I was so impressed.
Yes, we would. That's one reason that I was so happy when you asked me to be on the program today here at the station, because we want to get the word out that John is going to be here. He's coming to us free of charge to speak to people and answer people's questions and let them know about technology, things that he has experienced, because a lot of times we as people with sight problems think we're the only one that has this problem. We don't realize that there's all kinds of people in the community. It might be macular degeneration, it might be leakage behind the retina. We go around the room each time we have a meeting and introduce ourselves and say what our problem is. And as we go around the room, we find maybe 4 or 5 different conditions among us. And it's quite interesting to hear people say, well, I have so-and-so, and my treatment has been such and such. We have 2 or 3 people in our group who have gone up to, it's someplace in Iowa. I'm not sure if it's Iowa City. And
there is a big eye clinic over there at Iowa City.
Yeah, and they're doing some kind of stem cell research now over there. And 3 or 4 people from our group have gone over and had samples taken or something.
The reason I know about that personally is that I had the occasion to drive our son Greg, who at that time was just a guard at the prison. He's now a warden, I'm proud to say, at the prison, the Illinois River. But at that time, anyway, as on the firing line, he had some feces thrown in his face. and we had to get him over to at somebody's recommendation to the Iowa clinic over there. I suppose the university, I presume. But anyway, made a long trip over there, and so I'm intimately acquainted with the fact that there is that eye clinic over there.
Yes, and these people from Lincoln that have gone over there are very encouraged by what they have been told and the research that's being done, and what they can look forward to in the meantime. Now, I might also mention that we have various speakers at different times. We have one that I feel is very interesting is the Mary Bryant Home for the Blind. They come up. We'll invite them sometime, and these ladies will bring 2 large tables full of products for people with vision problems. They'll have, for instance, watches, alarm
Talking
clocks.
watches, talking clocks,
watches,
right.
yes, things like that. All kinds of products. It's amazing the hundreds of products that are available that you and I don't know about if we don't see something like this.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about those. We're going to take a commercial break for a couple of seconds. We have to satisfy some sponsors here. That kind of goes with the program.
True.
All right, we'll take a commercial break, Mr. Ash.